Hey everyone, welcome back to Warhammer 40k, a universe so dark that chivalry truly is dead. Last time we looked at the Dark Eldar, an army heavily focused on hit and run tactics and being the lightest army in Warhammer 40k. However, now we are going to the de facto smallest but toughest army in the entire game. Knights of both the Imperial and Chaos variety. Now, why am I covering both armies at the same time? Both armies have different abilities and playstyles. Yes, both armies have a different army ability, but A, they use mostly the same models, B, both armies combined don't even come close to the same amount of unit types as other armies do, and C, if you're new to 40k, you aren't going to see a major difference anyway. So if I can compare and contrast in the same video, I'ma fucking do it. So, let's get into it. Every Night House, whether they be Imperial, Mechanicus, or Chaos, can all trace their histories back to the dark age of technology. The time before the Imperium, when humanity was a single, united empire, spreading across the stars. The Knights, however, were not used for combat. They were used for colonization, mining, forestry, and other jobs that required machines that were large and complex for resource extraction. The Knight pilots were bonded to their machines in mind, body, and soul. Their machines are just as alive and conscious as the pilot. These workers and machines were loved and respected by the colonies they were stationed on, and the Titanic Knights would continue to serve their populations even when the Age of Strife began. If you watched the Eldar or Dark Eldar video, you remember that the ancient Eldar Empire's combined debauchery and psychic powers gave birth to Slaanesh. While Slaanesh was forming, the universe went through a 5,000-year pregnancy, and in that time, warp storms isolated whole galactic empires, solar systems, and planets from each other, leaving them vulnerable to raiders, monsters, demons, tyrants, and dictators both internally and externally. The Knights during this time were repurposed. Instead of labor jobs, the Knights' massive fists, chainsaws, and cannons would be turned to the defense of their colonies, fighting off these invasions, and most of them holding the line for 5,000 years, while some fell and were annihilated by creatures from beyond, or fell to the sweet temptations of chaos to survive. Though in the darkness, something for better or worse would find the Night Worlds after 5,000 years. The Imperium of Man, led by the Emperor of Mankind and the cult Mechanicus. The Night Houses had, of course, changed over their centuries of isolation. The Night Pilots became like feudal knights, holding to codes that resembled some form of archaic chivalry, and these Night Houses would join the Imperium or Mechanicus forces for one reason or another. However, then the Horus Heresy happened, and the Night Houses either followed their oaths to the Imperium or their oaths to the Primarchs that rebelled. Noble families tore themselves apart, desperate and power-hungry sons and daughters killing their loyal or traitorous family members. Ancient knights that could never be replicated or reproduced were lost. Some knights became possessed by demonic forces to empower themselves, while others lost their homes and became freeblades. And once the heresy was over, the Night Houses that were left either stayed true to the Imperium, chose independence, or joined with Chaos, fleeing with the other traitor forces into the Eye of Terror, or holding up on their demonic worlds. The Night Houses in 40k are very different from the ones back in the day. For the Loyalists, their knights are ancient, irreplaceable, and lost in archaic codes of honor and chivalry, and only go to war when forced to, or when old debts are called upon to be repaid. while the Chaos Knights have become raiders and tyrants, sowing terror and horror wherever they march to prove their superiority over the weak. Let's get into the armies.
This is complete Unga Bunga mode.
Imperial and Chaos Knights are armies made of Titanic units, models that tower over most units in the game and carry the firepower to match. Imperial Knights get the army ability called Code Chivalric, which allows you to pick one of two oaths to follow before the battle begins. These oaths either allow you to reroll a single hit or wound roll per model, or add 1 to advance and charge rolls, and assign a deed to complete. Should you complete an oath's deed, you get the additional benefit of extra command points, giving your Imperial Knights a constant secondary goal to strive for during a game. Chaos Knights get Harbingers of Dread as their army ability, and this ability is a progressive one, changing as the game goes on. For rounds 1 and 2, Chaos Knights reduce enemy units' leadership by 1 when doing battle shock or leadership tests, while they are within 12 inches of a Chaos Knight. But going into round 3 and beyond, the ability changes, so that when the targeted enemy units are battle shocked, your Knight units get +1 to wound them, and the battle shocked enemies get -1 to hit when attacking your Knights. This style wants you putting constant pressure on your opponent and scaring their units. Now, let's get into your units.
You are here to face tank everything.
Imperial and Chaos Knights both get a small walker unit referred to as Armigers for the Imperials and War Dogs for Chaos. The jobs of these units is to be fast-hitting harasser units, blasting apart enemies that would bog down your larger Knight units and getting into places your Knights can't get into. Armigers are your cheap extra bodies to bring to either outflank your opponent's units or to support and clean up units your bigger Knights failed to kill.
The way this works is that either they die or you die. You're gonna be staring them down, eye to eye, toe to toe.
The Formidable Knight is an expensive, tough, and hard-hitting unit. Depending on the point total you're playing at, you will see anything from 2 to 5 of these tall bastards on the table. Imperial Knights get 5 different variants, with each one focusing on specific unit types to target, while Chaos Knights get 3 variants, with the Knight Despoiler being a highly customizable unit, being able to wield whatever you want it to. However, being Titanic units, Knights in general can move over enemy units and terrain that is 4 inches tall or less. This gives your models incredible ranges of movement. You are the biggest thing on the table, so don't be afraid to walk all over your opponent. Literally.
We have rejected modernity. We have returned to monkey. The entire brain, both hemispheres, now exist with one word in mind, and that word is kill.
Some of the heaviest non-Forge World Knights you can bring are these 3 large lads. The Knight Castellan and Valiant are Imperial, while Chaos gets the single Knight Tyrant. However, don't be fooled. A Knight Tyrant basically has to choose the Castellan or Valiant loadout, leaving it less customizable than the Knight Despoiler. Either way, these units are meant to be the most dangerous and destructive units that your army can field. Castellan builds are long-range snipers, wanting to hang in the back and annihilate units from afar, while Valiant builds are meant to be close-ranged fire support, burning out and hooking anything that was stupid enough to get close to them. These units are the biggest threats on the table, so don't be surprised when your opponent singles them out.
What are you gonna do? Nothing, that's what? That turned into mist! Vaporized the poor fucker!
So, Knights have the unique honor of having an ability called Free Blades. Free Blades are Knights you can take in other Imperial armies, in units of either 1 Knight or up to 3 Armigers. Having a single Knight in your army can be a massive force multiplier, especially for armies like Sisters of Battle or Chaos Demons, who really struggle with ranged anti-armor options. However, keep note that when including a Free Blade in your army, the The Free Blade does not get the Knight Army abilities and cannot take enhancements. So if you are taking a Free Blade, you are taking it solely for its stats and weapons. And that's Knights, one of the cheapest, smallest, and most dangerous armies on the table. However, Knights, although incredibly powerful, have one massive weakness. They suck at board control, and if you lose one Knight, your army will really feel that loss quickly and open up a massive hole for your opponent to take advantage of. As well, everyone usually brings a healthy amount of units that can easily kill Knights. So when taking pure Knights, be aware that although you hit hard and can take a lot of punishment, you are just as vulnerable to anti-armor units as anyone else is. Thanks for watching, and when we come back, we will be looking at the last Chaos faction for now, the Plague God's Chosen, the Death God. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell icon for notifications, and don't forget to subscribe to the Patreon if you haven't already. You get to see videos a week early before they come out on YouTube. See you next time.